Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a horror anthology film, Bangkok Haunted. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. Three women meet up in a cafe to discuss their original horror stories to kill their boring time. The first woman volunteers first and tells a story about a girl named Jeeb and an ancient drum. Somewhere inside the truck, a hitchhiking man gets cut while reading his comics. As he looks for where he got his wounds from, he finds a package. Seeing nothing inside, he continues reading his comics. However, the open package suddenly shows a pale white woman. She then reveals that she was the one who cut him. Later that night, the truck arrives at Jeeb's place. After seeing that she has one unknown package on the list, she informs the professor about it. She tells him that an antique drum has been added to her list of items mysteriously and asks him if he knows something about it. After identifying the appearance, the professor tells her that it's a drum with markings for good luck and tells the story of how such drums exist. He tells the story of the orphan Paga in 1917. One day, a music master visits a student dying from illness. There he spots Paga, the student's daughter. Eventually, he raises Paga with his wife and deformed son. As Paga grows more elegantly and gets inclined with music and arts, their treatment of their son progresses to being abusive because of his physical appearance. Fortunately, the deformed son and Paga still get close, regardless of their parents' treatment of them. Many years pass, and Paga is now shown as a beautiful and elegant woman. Meanwhile, the deformed son looks even more deformed and gets more hate from his parents, but the siblings still love each other. However, the deformed son's form of love starts changing as he gets attracted to her beauty and hormones. One night, their family is invited to a party where Paga will dance for the audience. Before her dance, the deformed son gives her a pair of bracelets for good luck. Paga accepts it, and she begins her dance. After the dance, the people congratulate the music master and his family for a wonderful performance. Soon after, one of the guests, named Fond, takes an interest in the hormone-smelly Paga, and this makes the deformed son jealous, and his attraction toward his sister slowly progresses to sick obsession. The next day, Fond visits Paga while she's making statues with the deformed son. After Paga hears Fond's visit, she stops what she's doing, making the deformed son angry as Paga favors Fond over him. The next day, Paga and Fond get engaged and celebrate the upcoming wedding. Later after the engagement, the deformed son catches up to Paga, telling her to give back his bracelets at night. Paga is sad that her brother wants to cut ties with her, but returns it to him. However, both of them were never seen again in the village after that night. After that story, Jeeb sees the spirit of Paga while she's asleep. The spirit reveals that there's much more to that story. It turns out the deformed son killed her by cutting her up, while leaving her one arm and a drum for his possession. Later on, this drum reaches Jeeb for a reason. That's because Paga's spirit is attracted to Fond's reincarnation after so many years have passed. Right now, Fond's reincarnation is Jeeb's lover. One night, Fond's reincarnation comes home from work and sees Paga's spirit. He mistakes her for Jeeb since they look the same and follows her outside. Meanwhile, Jeeb also arrives home after work and sees that her lover is drowning after following Paga. It's revealed that Paga wants Fond's reincarnation to be dead, but the reason isn't clear. After that, Jeeb opens the drum and takes Paga's arm, and Paga appears and gives her a choice. Let Paga possess her, her lover will be fine at the cost of her life, or let her lover die, so that Paga and her reincarnation will be together in the next life. Not wanting to hurt her lover, Jeeb sacrifices herself. The story ends with Paga possessing Jeeb's body, as she wakes up Fond's reincarnation. After that, the two other women in the cafe think it's a bittersweet love horror story. Then the second woman tells her story about a horny girl named Pam and her desire to attract guys using a love potion. The story starts at night when Pam comes home from work. She envies the next-door neighbor when they play a noisy hormone game. The next day, Pam meets the said neighbor, and they talk about the fun time last night before the neighbor moves out. Pam openly tells her envy, and the neighbor pities her for failing to hook any guys. The neighbor then gives her a powerful hormone weapon, a love potion that can make her get rich in hormones and make the nasty men irresistible to her if she uses it. Desperate to be with a guy, Pam then tests the potion out as a perfume in a club one night. Meanwhile, it's shown that in a morgue somewhere, a guy is using a dead woman's corpse for ingredients in the hormone potion, hinting at a price to pay for using the potion. As Pam spots her target, a wealthy son of a company CEO, she uses her perfume to attract him. The perfume works, and the man starts to follow her as she leaves the club in a cab. However, he gets sick because of a dead woman's ghost following him. He still catches up to Pam and stops her cab. He then asks her out and introduces himself as a wealthy guy, rich both in cash and hormones. Then they begin her homework at her home. But at the same time, Mr. Wealthy is actually attracted by Pam's perfume and feels like he's enjoying an intimate moment with another girl. After that, the dead woman whose corpse was harvested for the hormone perfume is shown in bed. Mr. Wealthy suddenly gets even sicker and gets hospitalized because of it. Pam doesn't know the cause of his sickness and starts avoiding him. The next day, Pam meets another target on a boat commute, but he refuses to be seduced by her. Meanwhile, back at the morgue, the man who makes the love potion makes a sexual move on one of the corpses before turning her into a love potion. However, the corpse suddenly moves, scaring the hormone out of him. But this doesn't prevent him from harvesting her. The love potion made from dead women then reveals a supernatural price, where those who smell it will like the woman but will also get sick, as they also have to interact with the rotten spirit of the corpses, acting as a poison for the men. This is later shown as Mr. Wealthy prepares for an exorcism. As hospitals can't help, he reaches the limit, and his father tries rituals to save Mr. Wealthy. However, Mr. Wealthy keeps vomiting a strange substance that eventually leads to his death. Back to the horny Pam, she goes back to the club to meet another guy. However, this guy named Ad is not good looking like the others, so Pam looks for a fling while dating him for money. Then she spots the guy she met on the boat. She then goes to meet him, and they introduce themselves to each other. His name is Tim, and she tries to seduce him again. However, he shows that he already has a partner. Pam, being jealous, goes to extreme measures, and instead of using the hormone potion as a perfume, she makes Tim drink it secretly. As he drinks it, he shows attraction to Pam the next day. Then they play in bed till nighttime. After their fun time, Tim doesn't show sickness since he drank the potion. However, he pays another price instead. As he goes home, he gets into an accident that kills him. Meanwhile, Pam is haunted by the spirits of those inside the potion, including Mr. Wealthy, who died from it. This scares Pam, and she stops using it. Tim's family mourns his death after finding his corpse the following day. However, later that day, Tim calls Pam to meet with her. It's revealed that those who drink the potion will be obsessed with Pam even after death, and the dead will desire Pam to be with them together in death. That night, Ad is also going to visit Pam to court her. However, a pale Tim is trailing behind him to Pam's room. As Ad goes into the room, Pam's shocked as he drops to the floor dead. Then she sees Tim holding an axe heading for her. As she gets cornered, Tim undresses while embracing Pam. As her fears calm down, he suddenly strangles her in his embrace, killing her. They're then shown in a cemetery, where Tim and Pam are together in the coffin, as he gets his way with her dead body. The story ends, and the second woman calls it a horrific sex experience. The others comment that this is the price for something too good to be true. After their remarks, the third woman talks about the last story. She talks about the story where a detective looks into a case of a girl's suicide. One night, a girl is found dead with her body hanging by the ceiling in an ice factory. The police rule this out as suicide. However, the detective thinks it's not the case and insists that it may be a murder case. He then talks to his superior to let him investigate, as he presents evidence that it isn't a suicide. He tells his boss that if it's a suicide, there should be a chair to jump off of, and there should be no signs of struggling. He then shows pictures of the girl with scars that cannot be called self-harm scars. He also shows that her house is far away. After presenting his evidence, the boss thinks he is overthinking the case and refuses to allow him to investigate it as a murder. However, the detective decides to do the investigation against his superior's wishes. He then goes to the police morgue for the autopsy. He asks a friend of his, an analyst, to rush to inspect the girl. After the rush autopsy, he discovers that the girl didn't die from hanging, since the damage to the neck was minor. Instead, the analyst said she died, as the ropes slowly strangled her. This gives the detective the resolve to continue the case by himself and starts the investigation. He goes to the girl's funeral and learns that her name is Gunn. He learns from her foster family that she didn't want to live with them after her real parents' death and decided to marry her aggressive and abusive husband, which leads to the detective interrogating him. However, he's not there when he goes to the husband's home. Instead, the detective senses a presence watching over him and disappears shortly after. Seeing that the husband isn't home, he looks for other leads. His informant then points him to a girl Gunn knew. After interrogating her at her store, it's revealed that Gunn must have lived an abusive relationship with her husband. However, this isn't enough for a lead, so the detective asks for more. She recalls that Gunn went back to her old boyfriend, so the detective decides to question him. But before that, he rechecks the husband's house and finds him there. He then interrogates the husband and informs him that his wife died because of a murder. This angers the husband, and he acts guilty in front of the detective. However, the detective doesn't pry on that matter for now and tells him that he'll be back. Then he and Gunn's old boyfriend meet at a construction site. There the detective interrogates him, but only discovers how the husband is abusive to Gunn. Seeing that the husband is the prime suspect, he stakes out his house. Before that, he asks his analyst friend to search the crime scene with him. After inspecting it, they fail to find a lead. Then the presence the detective sensed earlier gives him a sign. They then find a wet letter that they will recover to read later. As they finish their task there, the detective sneaks into the husband's house looking for more evidence. He then finds a weirdly bent hanger with dry blood. He takes it back to the lab and discovers that there's blood from Gun and another person. This leaf forces them to reinspect Gun's corpse, making them steal her corpse again. As they bring it to the lab, they learn that Gun was pregnant and had a miscarriage. However, the miscarriage was from an outside force. The inspector then realizes that the hanger was used by the husband to kill the baby inside Gun. The detective is angry about this. He confronts the husband about it and accuses him of the murderer. However, he denies the accusation, but shows that he's guilty about it, making the detective convinced he's the murderer. The two then get into a fight, where the husband accidentally dies by falling on a sharp object. Just then, the analyst reveals that the husband isn't the murderer, as he's shown to be paralyzed from the waist down, making it impossible for him to hang her by himself. The analyst then reveals the letter that it was her old boyfriend who impregnated Gun. The detective then regrets killing the husband and starts chasing after Gun's old boyfriend. After a while, he arrives to see the guy trying to escape. He admits to impregnating Gun, but insists that he didn't kill her. The detective doesn't let him talk and chases after him while he tries to escape. The detective then shoots Gun's old boyfriend in the leg and reveals to him that he was also Gun's lover, and he's taking revenge for those who hurt her. The detective then shoots him dead, and the police close the case as a murder case. The next day, the detective goes to where Gun died and pays his respect. However, his visit comes with an unexpected twist. It's revealed by the company the old boyfriend worked for that he didn't kill Gun since he was present in a meeting the day she died. This leads to the detective being convicted as a criminal for killing an innocent. He then thinks of who could kill her. As he looks around, he now understands why there's a wet letter, as he sees ice around the place Gun died. He pieces the clues and visualizes Gun being rejected by her old boyfriend because he doesn't believe it's his kid. She then turns to her husband for help, but he doesn't like a child that's not his. So he uses the hanger to kill the baby inside her. Then she turns to the detective, but he breaks up with her in her most needed moment. Seeing no other option, she goes to the ice factory and makes a pyramid of ice blocks. While she remembers her last moments in life, the ice melts and slowly lets her down, causing the rope to slowly strangle her. As the detective realizes this, he feels guilty, while Gun watches over him with her spirit. After that story, the girls comment on how messed up and unbelievable those stories are. They then suggest these eerie stories should be covered by Daniel's CC movie channel. However, the film ends with the scene revealing the three women's true identities. The first woman is Jeeb, who's possessed by Paga. The second woman looks like Pam, and the third woman looks like Gun. This is Daniel's CC movie channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.